The first thing Marcus Harrison noticed wasn't the broken equipment. It was the silence, not the peaceful kind. The kind that settles over a room when people are too afraid to speak. As he walked through the warehouse wearing a plain gray uniform, several employees glanced toward him before quickly lowering their eyes. A forklift driver opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, then immediately stopped after noticing a supervisor watching from across the loading dock. Marcus slowed his pace. Nothing else looked unusual. The equipment worked. The conveyor belts moved. Orders kept flowing. Everything looked exactly the way a successful warehouse should, which was exactly why the silence didn't make sense. 3 months earlier, an anonymous letter had arrived at corporate headquarters. There was no return address, no signature, only one sentence typed in black ink. Your reports are lying to you. Come see how your people really live. Most executives would have forwarded the letter to human resources. Marcus didn't. Something about those words refused to leave his mind. So he made a decision that nobody, not even his executive team, knew about. For the next 2 weeks, he would become employee 4578, a temporary warehouse associate. No security escort, no executive privileges, no special treatment. Just another new hire trying to survive his first day. Only 3 people knew his real identity: his personal attorney, the chairman of the board, and the company's head of internal audit. Everyone else believed Marcus Harrison was attending an investment conference overseas. Instead, he was standing beside a conveyor belt, wearing steel-toed boots that already felt too small. "Hey!" Marcus turned. A middle-aged black woman pushed another cart beside his station. Her name tag read, Denise Carter. She smiled warmly. "You look lost." Marcus laughed softly. Is it that obvious? It is when someone still has hope in their eyes. The sentence caught him off guard. What does that mean? Denise hesitated, then forced another smile. You'll understand by lunch. Before Marcus could ask another question, a loud voice echoed across the warehouse. Nobody stands around talking. Every employee instantly returned to work. Marcus looked toward the voice. A tall man in an expensive navy suit strode across the warehouse floor like he owned the building. Regional operations manager, Victor Caldwell. Marcus recognized him immediately. Now, he watched Victor stop beside an older employee whose hands trembled while lifting a heavy box. Victor didn't ask if the man was all right. He didn't offer help. Instead, he snatched the scanner from the man's hand. You've missed today's quota again. The older employee lowered his head. I'm trying, sir. Trying doesn't pay invoices. Several nearby workers kept packing orders. No one looked up. Victor tossed the scanner back. If you can't keep up, I'll find someone who can. The older man's face flushed with embarrassment. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. Denise leaned slightly closer without taking her eyes off her work. Don't. Marcus looked at her. Don't what? Don't get involved. Why not? Because people who speak up around here. She stopped. Her eyes drifted toward the security cameras mounted above the warehouse. Usually don't stay very long. Marcus said nothing. His heartbeat slowed. Not because he was calm, because he was thinking. Either Denise was exaggerating, or someone inside this company had created a culture of fear so powerful that employees whispered beneath security cameras. Neither possibility made sense. At least, not yet. Hours passed. Marcus deliberately worked at the same pace as everyone else. Boxes, scanning, pallets, more boxes. He listened more than he spoke. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. Employees skipped their breaks. Nobody questioned impossible deadlines. Workers apologized even when equipment malfunctioned. Whenever Victor appeared, conversation stopped instantly. It wasn't respect. It was survival. Around noon, Marcus carried his lunch into the employee break room. The room was nearly full, yet strangely quiet. People ate without conversation. A television mounted in the corner played one of the company's promotional videos. Marcus looked toward it. His own face stared back at him, dressed in a tailored suit, smiling confidently beside the company's slogan. At Harrison Distribution, every employee matters. Marcus looked away from the television, then around the room. Nobody else was watching it. A young employee quietly muttered beneath his breath, "Must be nice." The words were barely audible, but everyone heard them. No one responded. Denise simply lowered her eyes to her sandwich. Marcus felt something he hadn't expected. Not anger, shame. Before he could process the feeling, the break room door burst open. Victor Caldwell stepped inside, carrying a clipboard. His expression was hard. "I need everyone's attention." The room became completely silent. Victor scanned the room before stopping on a young warehouse worker sitting near the window. Jamal. The young man slowly stood. Victor tossed several printed pages onto the table. "I reviewed yesterday's inventory loss." Jamal frowned. "I didn't." Victor cut him off. "You cost this company over $12,000. The room gasped. Jamal's face turned pale. "Sir, that's impossible." Victor folded his arms. "Are you calling my report a lie?" I just don't understand." "You can explain it while cleaning out your locker." Marcus watched Jamal's hands begin to shake. The young man looked around the room, searching for someone, anyone, who would speak on his behalf. No one did, not because they believed he was guilty, because they were terrified of becoming the next target. Marcus looked toward the report. Something bothered him immediately, not the accusation. The numbers, they didn't seem to fit. Years of reading financial statements had trained his eyes to notice patterns, and these numbers felt manufactured. Marcus quietly looked from Jamal to Victor, then back to the report. For the first time since arriving undercover, he wasn't just witnessing fear. He was beginning to suspect something much bigger. Someone wasn't merely mistreating employees. Someone was hiding the truth. The break room remained frozen. Jamal stood motionless. His locker key trembled in his hand. "I didn't steal anything." Victor Caldwell looked almost amused. "Funny." He tapped the report with one finger. "That's exactly what guilty people say." A few employees exchanged nervous glances. Marcus noticed something. Victor never actually explained what Jamal had supposedly done. He only repeated the dollar amount, $12,000. Specific enough to sound convincing, vague enough that no one could question it. Marcus had seen that tactic before, not in warehouses, in boardrooms. People often accepted confidence as proof. Victor slid another document across the table. "Sign your termination papers." Jamal stared at the page. "What happens if I don't?" Victor smiled. Then corporate security becomes involved. The room felt even quieter. Marcus watched Jamal's shoulders sink. He wasn't acting like someone hiding guilt. He looked like someone who had just realized. No one was going to believe the truth. Before Jamal could pick up the pen, an older voice interrupted. "That's enough." Every head turned. Denise had stood up. Her hands shook. Her voice didn't. "You've accused him before." Victor slowly faced her. "What did you say?" "You heard me." Denise swallowed. 3 months ago, you blamed Carlos for missing inventory." She pointed toward an empty chair. "He resigned 2 days later." Victor folded his arms. "Careful." Denise didn't stop. Then it was Melissa. Another pause. "And before that," her voice cracked, "Mr. Lewis." The older employee lowered his eyes. Victor walked toward Denise, one slow step at a time. "So now you're questioning management?" "No, I'm questioning your reports." The temperature inside the room seemed to drop. Marcus looked around. Nobody was eating anymore. Everyone was watching, not because they expected Denise to win, because they feared what would happen next. Victor leaned closer. Only inches separated them. "Clock out." Denise blinked. "What?" "I said clock out." I still have 3 hours left. You don't anymore. The room gasped. You've been suspended pending investigation. For what? Victor smiled. Insubordination. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Marcus felt anger rising inside him. Then he pushed it down. Anger wasn't useful. Evidence was. Victor turned toward everyone else. Let this be a lesson. His eyes swept across the room. This company rewards loyalty. Then he looked directly at Marcus. And new employees should learn quickly who signs their paychecks. Marcus lowered his eyes, pretending to be intimidated. Inside, he was memorizing every word. 20 minutes later, Marcus found Denise sitting alone outside the loading dock. She wasn't crying. She simply stared at the cracked pavement. An old coffee mug rested between her hands. Marcus sat beside her. I'm sorry. Denise smiled weakly. Don't be. You were only telling the truth. She laughed softly. You must be new. I am. Then here's your first lesson. She looked back toward the warehouse. Truth and proof aren't the same thing. Marcus remained silent. Denise continued. If you don't have proof, the truth doesn't matter. The word stayed with Marcus. What really happened to Jamal? Denise looked around before answering. I don't know. You defended him. I defended what I've seen. She took a slow breath. People disappear from this building. Marcus frowned. What do you mean disappear? They quit. They get fired. They transfer. But it's always after they question something. Marcus thought back to the reports. If Denise was telling the truth, then someone wasn't simply mistreating employees. Someone was hiding what was really happening inside this warehouse. But why? Denise looked directly into his eyes. That's the question nobody can answer. The afternoon shift began. Marcus was assigned to Inventory Zone C. Rows of towering shelves stretched across the warehouse. As he scanned packages, something caught his attention. Several boxes carried identical barcode labels. Marcus stopped. That shouldn't happen. Every shipment was supposed to have its own tracking number. He scanned one. The screen displayed. Item already processed. He frowned. He scanned another. Same result. A third. Same. Marcus slowly looked around. No one else seemed surprised. Either they hadn't noticed, or they'd learned not to ask. Quietly, Marcus copied the barcode numbers onto a scrap of paper, then slipped it into his pocket. Minutes later, another employee approached, a young Hispanic man. His name tag read, Miguel. Without looking at Marcus, he whispered, "Don't skin those twice." Marcus pretended not to understand. Why? Miguel kept stacking boxes. Just don't. What happens if I do? Miguel finally looked at him. Real fear filled his eyes. You'll end up like Jamal. Before Marcus could ask another question, Miguel walked away. Marcus looked back at the duplicate labels. His instincts told him they weren't random mistakes. Someone was manipulating inventory. But for what? Missing merchandise? Accounting fraud? Insurance claims? Something else entirely? Whatever it was, it explained why innocent employees kept becoming convenient scapegoats. That evening, Marcus didn't drive to a hotel. He drove to a small rented office across town. Waiting inside, only two people, his attorney, Sarah Mitchell, and the company's head of internal audit, Ethan Brooks. Neither spoke until Marcus closed the door. Sarah studied his face. You've seen something. Marcus shook his head. No. He placed the handwritten barcode numbers on the table. I've seen enough to know our reports are fiction. Ethan picked up the paper. His expression changed immediately. Where did you get these? Warehouse 7. Ethan opened his laptop. His fingers moved rapidly across the keyboard. Seconds later, he stopped. Marcus. What? Ethan slowly turned the screen around. Every barcode Marcus had written down had already been marked as shipped nearly 3 weeks earlier. Silence filled the room. Marcus looked back at the paper, then at Ethan. If those products already left the warehouse, he paused. Why are they still sitting on our shelves? No one answered, because only one explanation made sense. Someone wasn't making bookkeeping mistakes. Someone was running a scheme. Marcus leaned back slowly. The anonymous letter came back to him. Your reports are lying to you. Come see how your people really live. For the first time, he understood. The letter wasn't just about cruel management. It was about a system built on lies. And he had only uncovered the first layer.